Some things are built to last. Tested by the elements, proven by time, engineered for whatever comes next. Summertown Metals. Strength in every storm. Building dreams that last.
From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is your weather at noon.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Taylor Plott here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. We'll get right into your forecast, but first, let's take a live look at our Sam Camp. He is out in Waterloo right now. And Sam, what exactly are you seeing out there? And obviously I see there's ice on the roadway and those trees are leaning pretty heavily. So give us the latest information on what you're seeing out there.
Well, Taylor, I'm out here on P Ridge, just on the northwest side of Waterloo, and coming into Waterloo down County Road 14, I believe it was, the Waterloo Road, as people around here call it. I mean, there was not a whole lot of ice or snow left on the trees coming into town, but you would just pass swaths of just dozens of downed trees, whether that be completely uprooted on the ground or half of it's just snapped off, or their tree branches are just all over the ground. But yeah, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of trees that have been downed in this end of the county over here near Waterloo. And if you can see in the camera in front of me, I'll probably move it just a hair, but the pine trees directly in front of me, those are actually completely bent over and on the ground right now from the weight of the ice. And even though my car is reading 30 degrees right now, there is still, in direct sunlight, there's still at least a good half an inch to even close to an inch of ice accreted on some of these trees out here. Some of these roads are still impassable completely, but the main roads have been cleared by AlDOT and the county road department. But I mean, you can just step outside and all you hear is just things cracking and falling in the distance. But there is still just an enormous amount of ice on pretty much all surfaces out here.
Yeah, I can definitely see that too, especially with the bushes I can see on the side. You can see a lot of that kind of ice. You see that's, accumulated on it. So you mentioned the roadways. Obviously, I imagine you're on one of the little county roads right there, so they're not going to be pretty much treated by AlDOT. But you said the majority of, I guess, the highways over there in that part of Lauderdale County, they've been relatively cleared.
Yes, Highway 72 pretty much from the east side of Lauderdale County all the way into Florence was pretty much clear. But as soon as you started getting on the west side of Florence out towards Highway 20 or Old Savannah Highway, whichever one you'd like to call it, the bridges began to have a good amount of ice still on them in spots. It was passable, but in spots there was ice. And then in the shady areas, there were still a few patches of ice. And then once you got out onto Waterloo Road, that was mainly clear, but in those shaded areas where they are not receiving any direct sunlight, there's still a really good amount of ice in some of those areas. So definitely take it really slow if you're having to be out on the roadways today in this part of the county. But I'm on one of these back county roads right here, and it has obviously not been treated. And I mean, the amount of ice on everything is just beyond explainable. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, definitely. We're talking before we went on noon. A lot of these areas hadn't really seen this since '94. I know that was before you were born. Last question. So obviously we see the trees are having issues there and such. What about the power lines? I know that parts of Lauderdale County, I dealt with some power issues. I know the majority of the power issues were a bit further to the north and west, but any information on the power lines? Are they still relatively stable, or are some of them starting to lean as well?
I could tell that a few of them, a few power poles on my way in have been, like, they were relatively brand new, so they've been replaced and stuff like that. But I think most of the ice has melted off of most of those power lines, or it's been knocked off or something like that. But one of the things, just driving didn't really think about going into this was just driving down one of these roads that is clear on the road, but you're driving down the road and stuff just begins to hit your roof where there's ice falling off the trees or little tree branches are breaking off. And that's part of what I experienced, because there's just debris just laying in the road. And most of the trees that have fallen over the road have been cut. There's a few places where you have to drive around them, but there have been countless trees over in this area over near Waterloo and Rhodesville up here where there have been trees down everywhere on the road.
Yeah.
But definitely the road to recovery out here is going to be a lot in terms of like the forests and trees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is something that you don't see every other year.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, all right, Sam, thanks for your report out there in Waterloo. Stay safe. Obviously, we're going to see more drone pictures and such from you later today, so just take it easy. Be safe out there.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. That is our Sam Camp. Obviously, you see him live there with his feed from Waterloo, seeing a lot of trees that are leaning over there. Still a lot of ice that's on the roads, as you see, but like what he said, most, if not all, of the major highways there in Lauderdale County and up towards Waterloo, Highway 20, Highway 72, and 43 are relatively ice-free, except for maybe some of the bridges and overpasses. So that's a look out there with our team coverage that's been ongoing for the past handful of days, and we'll continue to deal with the aftermath of this ice storm that has impacted a good chunk of our viewing area. You see there with our live Arctic Air Skycam network as we get into your forecast, Savannah, seeing those icicles on the camera lens right now. But you look at other places like Huntsville, obviously the majority of the precipitation for Huntsville ended up being a cold rain with a little bit of some icing problems early on, and then as the refreeze happened, Lawrenceburg, you're relatively clear on the major highways, but you get into the back roads, such as Weekly Creek Road back here where we're located at. You go a little bit further to the east towards that hill. There's definitely some ice there too. There's still a lot of places out in the county here in Lawrence County they're dealing with icing problems. Florence, obviously downtown Florence, looking a lot better. Maybe just a little bit of some of that ice that's left over on the roadways here, but Savannah over towards Waynesboro, Homewald, Columbia, the areas that saw most of the icing, there's still a lot of ice to go through. The good news is, even though you look at the temperatures and there's some places above freezing, but others are still below freezing here, the sunshine is out, and that's going to help melt things on the asphalt. The black asphalt will start to radiate a little bit more heat from that sun, and it will continue the melting process. But for our air temperatures, they'll generally be getting up to and above freezing today, and then they'll be above freezing tomorrow, and that's going to help things. Here's the current roadway temperatures. Like I said, the sun is hitting the road, and so therefore you're going to see the roadway temperatures get well above freezing. We're in the 40s, close to 50 degrees for the roadway temperatures here right now across the area. So from Waynesboro, Savannah, Homewald, Columbia, where you've seen the majority of the icing problems, this is going to help things. But once we get into the overnight hours, we're going to get down towards those teens again, have another refreeze. But as we continue to melt, refreeze, there's going to be a lot more melting and evaporation, and things will continue to get better over the next day or two. Radar satellite composite, cold front moving in from the north. That's not going to bring us any precipitation, but just some slight increase in some cloud cover. As you see here with your afternoon forecast, a lot of sunshine today, so that will continue to help the melting process. A few clouds moving in during the evening hours as we'll dip down below freezing once again. So here's your forecast highs for today. 34 in Lewisburg, 35 in Pulaski, 38 in Huntsville, 36 in Athens, 37 over there in the Shoals. Going into your evening, we continue to crash those temperatures down into the 20s by the late evening hours, and eventually going into the teens during the overnight hours. Here's your forecast lows overnight tonight. 15 for Lewisburg, Pulaski, Lawrenceburg, and Collinwood. 19 for Huntsville, 21 for Decatur, and 18 over there in the Shoals. Going into tomorrow, another day above freezing across the area, getting up towards that 40-degree mark. Should be right around 40 for Fayetteville, close to 40 in Huntsville, 37 in Athens, 36 in Pulaski, and 34 in Mount Pleasant. A bit more cloud cover can be expected for your Wednesday. So let's talk about it with your Futurecast over the next 24 hours. Those clouds will continue to gradually move in from the north, but no precipitation is expected. Temperatures will be crashing down to the teens overnight tonight, going into your Wednesday morning. Seeing a lot of cloud cover, maybe some patchy areas of fog. That's something we'll keep a close eye on. And yes, with the temperatures below freezing, that would be some freezing fog. So there could be some slick spots on the bridges and overpasses. Just keep that in mind for your Wednesday, but that should quickly burn off and go away once we get into the afternoon hours, with temperatures getting well above freezing and seeing the sunshine come out once again. Rain chances or snow chances at that over the next 7 days, keeping things at 10% right now for your Friday. But let's talk about it, because there's some changes that could happen. All of this will be dependent on where the area of low pressure that we're going to be dealing with actually develops. And if it develops a little bit better in the Gulf and has a bit more of that moisture being pumped in north of it, yes, we could be dealing with a little bit more of some snow going into Friday and Saturday. But right now, things are looking on the drier side, with maybe a few isolated snow flurries and snow showers possible during your Friday morning. That continues to move to the east, and this is where the majority of the snowfall looks like it's going to be occurring right now, from Knoxville over towards Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, over towards Asheville, North Carolina, down towards the South Carolina area as well. Maybe a little bit of some wraparound moisture to deal with some light snow flurries or some snow showers. But again, all of this is dependent on where the area of low pressure develops. And right now you can see the majority of this looks like it's going to be off to our east and southeast. Still a few days to watch this, but right now I don't really see anything trending more towards we're going to be dealing with a good amount of snow for your Friday or Saturday. And right now I think we're just dealing with maybe some flurries, some snow showers, and that's about it. I think the main focus is going to be the very cold temperatures coming in late Friday into Saturday, and then again Saturday night into Sunday. Very cold wind chills can be expected both Saturday and Sunday, especially during the morning hours. A lot of those look like they're going to end up being below zero, so just keep that in mind. And of course, we'll watch that system on Friday, but like I said, right now I think we're really just dealing with a few snow flurries, maybe some snow showers. The ground is cold enough to where even if we have some light snow, some of it might accumulate, but I don't really think it's going to be anything that's super impactful. But yeah, there might be maybe a slick spot or two, just depending on how things pan out. So that's something we'll keep a close eye on for your Friday. That's your latest 7-day forecast here from the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. Fred Gossage will be in at 5 p.m. and he'll have another full check on your forecast. Until then, I hope everybody has a fantastic Tuesday afternoon.
You're watching the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.